very pleased and honored to have legendary bass player and songwriter from the Sex Pistols.
I don't like that word legendary. It means you're getting on a bit in years.
Glenn Matlock is here as our featured interview. Glenn is a founding member and a songwriter from the seminal punk rock band, the Sex Pistols. He's also played with some of the top legends in rock and roll, from Mick Jones to Iggy Pop to the Faces, currently right now. Now he fronts his own driving rock band, the Philistines. Hey, Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today in the interview.
That's my pleasure, and also you're the first American who said Philistines properly. You normally go Philistines, so I'm impressed. That's good. We're off to a good start.
Thank you. Well, we're into it. So we've been listening to your music for a while now. I mean, I've been listening to your music since I was a teenager, and the Rolling Stone magazine named "Nevermind the Bollocks" as one of the top 50 rock albums of all time. And as a musical songwriter from the Sex Pistols, how does that make you feel?
Kind of sort of justified, I suppose, really. There's been a lot of sort of rubbish that's surrounded the whole Pistols myth, but when people kind of give it the acclaim after all these years still, yeah, it's kind of a good place to be, really. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so if they want to put it up there, great. But I think it's a pretty good record. There's some good tunes on it, and there's some good...
Can you take us back at all about at that time period in terms of writing one of the original songs, like, Pretty Vacant or something like that? Did you say, hey, lads, I've got to check this out, or did John Lydon write the words first? Or?
Well, no, I mean, Pretty Vacant is my music and lyrics, that one particular song. Most of the songs are sort of my music and John's lyric, or some of them was like Steve's music and John's lyric. The first 3 singles, though, were my music. I don't know, it's kind of, I mean, there's not a whole bunch of songs in the Sex Pistols catalogue, so we kind of took every idea we could, really, Not many people turned up their nose at something.
So did you write music like in a recording rehearsal studio type, or like at someone's flat or something, or? I used to kind of have a beat up old acoustic guitar at home. I think it was a Hofner Senator. And would knock ideas around. So then we had our own rehearsal place, and once you got in a rehearsal place, it was like, anybody got any ideas? And, well, I got this one, what's that one? And through working that out at home, you kind of knew what was beginning to work a little bit, but you couldn't always, what you envisaged in your head with a loud guitar and drums, it didn't necessarily sound like that until you played it with a band, So there was a bit of, what was there? Yeah, there was a bit of experimentation kind of going on, but we were very limited in our styles, but proud of it, and we just wanted to keep it as simple as possible, People say, well, there's no guitar solos in the Pistol songs. Well, good, we never wanted there to be any, You were very conscious at the time that you were making a statement that you were doing something really different, at that time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we tried to copy what was going on in London at the time, we would have been a jazz funk band, so can you imagine that, It was quite a lame period. I mean, there'd been stuff beforehand which had been pretty good. The Spiders from Mars and Transformer and Roxy Music, but that kind of been and gone a little bit by then. Those people sort of, as soon as any English bands have any success, they're off around the world or touring the States. So you can't necessarily go and see them in your local club. There was a thing called pub rock going on. A couple of bands came through that, were all right, but it was a bit sort of low rent,
Right.
So we just thought we'd do what we want to do. But it's a generational thing and all, every year or two, there's a new bunch of kids come through and they want to play a new bunch of kids' music, and that's what we was doing. But I think we were kind of a bit more astute than most. And it's funny as well how the English bands, that I think we were the first of the English bands, like the Clash and the Damned and bands, Buzzcocks came after us. Not long after us, but they came after us. But we started doing our thing, and when the Ramones came to England for the first time, I don't think they'd had a record out by then, and we went to see them as a band, and it was quite taken aback at how similar they were to us, even though we hadn't heard any of the records and they hadn't heard any of ours. And I think everybody got fed up with the same set of influences at the same time. It was at the beginning of a global village kind of thing, I suppose.
Oh, that was cool. So you checked out the Ramones back in the day, downtown New York. And,
and wherever we could, Jonathan Richman. I mean,
well, today you play a little bit with Clem Burke from Blondie.
Every now and then, if something comes up, we did have a project in New York going on with me, him, El Slick, and a guy called Kenan Duffy, who's a English friend of mine who lives in New York, and who's not a bad singer, but he's also a fashion designer. But nobody was ever in the same place at the same time, so it kind of helps with bands, that you're all in the same room together.
Right, right. So are you technology now to sending files over the internet or anything like that yet?
Well, you can do that, but there's nothing like if you're going to be in a rock band, there's being in a band in the room together and playing, or on stage together. But I've got a project coming up with Glen later on in the year. I think we're going to do some gigs in Australia with a guy called Gary Twin and a guy called James Stevenson who plays guitar with me in the Philistines. So, everybody's not interchangeable, but everybody knows each other. And
right.
Sometimes, when you get a bit older, it's good to do different things for fun. It keeps your interest level high. And
right.
I think you've got to, I don't know, is it multitask, is that the word? You've got to do a bit of this, that and the other these days.
So is that Slinky Vagabond?
No, I don't even know what we're going to call it yet. So it's not Slinky Vagabonds, it's something else. But, I'll play with Clem any day of the week. He's great.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
He's great.
So you're also playing right now with the Faces reunion. You guys are touring England.
I'm just about to, at the end of this, in fact, on Friday, we're going to start rehearsing again, and we got a few shows through Europe, and then we're actually doing the Fuji Festival in Japan, and I thought we were just on the bill, but it turns out we're headlining. So how about that? I mean, my all-time favourite band headlining a 100,000 people festival. It's great. Life is good.
That's huge. That's wonderful. That's what I was going to ask you. What's it like to play, actually, with one of your all-time favorite groups? When you look to your left on stage, and there's Ron Wood.
It's pretty good, really, But, I mean, I think as well as me getting something out of it, I think I give them as much as I get from them, because I've sort of dug the Faces for so long. I learned to play playing along to their records, and I've always dug Ronnie Lane as a bass player and a character, and I think I'm cut from the same cloth somehow, and I think the guys think that as well. So, I don't try.
It comes across. We watched videos, and it really comes across.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, Ron would have got, as far as I understand it, he got the gig in the Rolling Stones not because he was the best guitarist, but because he was the right bloke. The right guy, and that's why I think I've got the gig. And not that I'm a bad bass player, but you don't have to be that technically proficient to do it, and you can.
So Bill Wyman was your predecessor briefly, wasn't he?
Bill Wyman was right. Well, I saw him play with Bill, and I think Bill's a great bass player, but he wasn't right for the Faces, I mean,
right.
I've read some review, and I would dig this, because it's kind of painted me with glowing colours, but it said Glenn Matlock was right for the Faces, because he, as far as the bass concerns, he mends their broken spine.
That's great.